Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leo chart and the Sober Curator to bring you the June 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Gemini for sun and rising placements. It's Gemini season. It's your time. Happy birthday. Let's dive right in. So, where Gemini hits in the horoscope for a Gemini is the first house, which is the house that represents the identity. So, starting out June, we have Jupiter, Venus, and the sun all in your sign. Mercury, which is your ruling planet, is going to be finishing up its stint in Taurus over the first 2 days of June. But then by June 3rd, Mercury is going to be joining the Gemini party. And so you're going to have Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and the sun all blessing your first house. So what does that mean? The first house is the house that's tied to our relationship to ourself. So it's where we're kind of coming into who am I? What do I want? Where do I want to direct my will? What are the things that drive me and kind of cause me to be the version of myself that I want to be. And so, the sun here brings all of this energy and attention to the self and the relationship to self. Venus here rules relationships. And whenever Venus is in the first house, I always kind of joke that it's the signature, when it's in a natal chart of being in love with yourself or needing a lot of attention or kind of validation of self. And so when Venus is passing through the first house in a transit, we might feel like our relationship to how we put ourselves together, our self-expression, the fifth house rules self-expression, but the first house rules the identity. And so sometimes when Venus is here, because Venus can rule aesthetics and how we beautify ourselves, some of the self-expression themes come up. So if you feel like you're wanting to change your hair or do something different with your, look, sometimes Venus passing through the first house can emphasize that. And honestly, it's a positive time for you to do it, having Mercury and Jupiter and the sun in that mix with you. So there's a lot of self-reflection as well. Gemini being the mutable air sign, and you guys are all prone to overthinking, overanalyzing, overassessing everything. You are prone to some anxiety this month with so much energy in your self sector. It can make you super self-oriented where your relationships could suffer because maybe you're wanting a lot of alone time. Maybe you're feeling very self-indulgent in a way that's having Venus here. It's not about other people. It's about you. It is your birthday month. And as a Leo, I'm totally supportive of this being whatever you want, how you want to express yourself or focus on yourself, I think is really important when it's your season to do that. We also start out June with Mars in Aries. And so the area that this is hitting for the Gemini horoscope is the area that has to do with your relationship to your community. And so we've already had so much energy passing through Aries over the beginning of the year that this isn't like a foreign feeling for you this so far. Like beginning of the year, we had Mercury in Aries. We still have Chiron in Aries, and then we had Venus passing through Aries. Mercury, was retrograde in Aries for a long time. There's just been a lot of Aries energy highlighting your 11th house for a long time. Then we kind of got out of it for a second, barely, because Mars has still been there since May. And now, Mars is finishing up its stint there up until the second week of June, where it'll enter Taurus after that. So this last week of, Mars in Aries, which is the first week of June, is just kind of, more of the same theme that you were experiencing in May, where you're reflecting a lot on your relationship to your community, your relationship to your friends, your friendship circles. Maybe you're evaluating who's in your life and whether or not you're in the right, kind of sphere of people. Maybe you feel like you really want to be social and get out and spend time with people. So that's kind of, a big theme for you starting out June. Once Mars moves into Taurus on the 9th, that's going to be entering your area of your chart that pulls you more inward. So it's the area of the subconscious. My dog is coughing. He's got kennel cough right now. So I apologize if you're hearing him cough up phlegm, literally. This has been going on for way too long. So once Mars enters the 12th house, where the subconscious lies, you are going to feel a pull inward, and you are going to want to be focusing more on your internal process, and you'll feel a little bit more antisocial over the rest of the month of June. If we backtrack a little bit, on June 6th, we're going to have a new moon in Gemini that's hitting your first house. New moons are a great time to set intentions towards things that we want to manifest in our lives. And so In the first house, having this new moon means that you're setting intentions, or what's positive for you to set intentions towards is that relationship to self, your identity expression. So if there's certain goals that you have for yourself around who you are and how you express yourself and how you put yourself out there, this new moon is a really positive time for you to do that, for you to emphasize kind of, those themes in your life. So if you're curious on ways to do that, just writing down in a journal the attributes or traits about yourself that you enjoy, or even traits or attributes that you wish you possessed more of, and saying to the universe, like, I would like to manifest more of this type of energy into my life and into my self-awareness. An example for me around how to set intentions around the self is, I know for me, some of the goals that I've had for myself is overcoming anxiety. Like, I have a lot of anxiety that I've been working through off and on. And sometimes I feel like I'm making progress, and sometimes I feel like I'm regressing. And because Gemini season, there's a lot of transits that have to do with our relationship to thought and how we're thinking about things. I know my self perspective, is a big one. The first house too, a lot of times it's positive for us to reflect on an inner critic. So if you have a really harsh judgmental voice in your head towards everything you do that creates analysis paralysis, where it makes it hard for you to do things, that's something you could set intentions towards wanting to heal or overcome in the next month. Not saying you can overcome deep-rooted things in a month, but that's, kind of the cycle with the moons that we follow. Like, what can I set intentions for this next cycle? So those are some positive things for you to think about. If you feel really confident too in yourself, it could just be, I personally love making style goals, like I'll have a Pinterest board and be like, this is stuff that I want to work towards with my personal style. The first house can be kind of fun with that. If you're thinking about, the first house rules the head. So if you're thinking about your hair or the way you put your makeup on, or, if you're a guy and maybe you don't wear makeup, but your grooming routine, as we age too, our grooming routine changes a lot of times because we have hair growing in different spots, or things are sagging in different ways. And so sometimes, as we're aging, we can also kind of evolve the way that we groom. And that can be something that we're like, this little piece of hair. My hair looks so good in person, but when I'm on the video, this is very first house to me. I'm like, how do I set intentions for having better hair in my videos? I tried it. It's not translating as well in the video as it is in person. Things like that, are very first house themes for men and women. How do you put yourself together? How do you reflect back to yourself? It's very Venus, very new moon theme for that. And then also how that impacts you on an inner level. What's your inner narrative? It's very Gemini first house. Okay, so after that new moon, Mars will enter Taurus. We talked about that. Mars in the 12th house too does lend itself to feelings of anger coming up, but it's repressed. So a lot of times when we're going through a Mars 12th house transit, we're reflecting on anger that maybe we feel like we don't know how to expel or release. And so that's a theme that is going to be happening for you for the rest of June. And then after that transition of energy, we're going to have both Mercury and Venus entering the cardinal water sign of Cancer on the 17th. So big energy shift. You've had all this energy in your first house, and now it's going to shift into your money house. Venus entering the second house is really positive. It brings opportunities financially. So if you've been, money's been a theme, or you've been kind of trying to figure out how to make more money, Venus entering the second house for the rest of June is really good for you. Mercury is really good here because it's good at strategizing and kind of figuring out what you need to do with your money. And in Cancer does tend to be associated with being resourceful when it comes to building stability and structure. And Cancer is the cardinal water sign, so it's not necessarily associated with stability and structure when we think of it modality wise or elementally, but it does rule the 4th house, which is the house of home and family, where we have this kind of grounded relationship to home. Not all of us have a grounded relationship to home, but it's that kind of like inner home feeling. And in the second house, which is Taurus, which is, material stability, those two things coming together give us that opportunity to kind of think about that, reflect on it, build upon it, reflect on our emotional relationship to our self-worth around money. Those are big themes for the remainder of June. Then on the 20th, it's our summer solstice, and the sun's going to be joining the Cancer party for you and entering that second house. So money and self-worth and material abundance, stability, all of those themes to come up for you for the rest of June. And then on June 21st, right after we enter Cancer season, we have our full moon at 1 degree of Capricorn. And this full moon is going to be hitting in the area of the Gemini horoscope that has to do with sex, death, rebirth, and shared resources. And so themes around that will come up for you during the full moon. And full moons are a great time for releasing energy as well as manifesting things into our lives. And so there's a lot of themes around, what are you calling in around, transformation, rebirth? Are you reflecting a lot on death or sex, your relationship to sex, self-worth, transactional relationships? Those types of things are a big theme for the full moon. So you can set intentions towards things like that you want to cultivate more of, or set intentions around things you want to release or let go that are holding you back. Like paying off certain debts to getting financial things in order. Those are all big themes for the full moon there. All right, let's see here. We've got, after that, the next major transition of energy is going to be Saturn stationing retrograde until November. So Saturn's been in Pisces. The area of the chart that's hitting for you is your work. And with Saturn stationing retrograde in Pisces until November, your work comes up for review. And so these are things that, if you've been making changes or kind of reflecting on the structure of how you've been doing things with work, Saturn retrograde here will bring up a lot of that stuff for review. And, Pisces energy is also mutable. It squares Gemini. But, it requires us to have to let go, surrender to the process, and work more on going with the flow. We think of the Hanged One in the tarot as ruled by Pisces. And we also have the Moon card in the tarot is ruled by Pisces. And the Moon card can be a time where we have to surrender and do a lot of deep reflection within. It's a confusing period for a lot of us. And so we're all under this transit. It's not just you, but for you, it's in the area of career. And so you might go through a period where you feel confused about what you're doing. You're reflective. You're needing to let go and surrender and go with the flow of kind of what's happening. Those are all big themes for you in the last chapter of June. All right, Gemini, I'm going to leave you there. I hope you all have a great birthday month, and I will see you guys in July. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and you will get notified on when I post these. You can also find me at thesobercurator.com and theladyofleisure.com. And if you would like to book a one-on-one session with me, my email is in the description box. You can just shoot me an email and tell me what you want to do. All right, I'll see you guys soon.